Hi there everyone, Marc Laurenson here from Sydney Astrology School, and thanks for joining me as we celebrate Jupiter in Gemini. So in this particular clip, I'm not just going to be talking about Gemini moving through the sign of the twins, but I'm going to be looking at Jupiter in Gemini as it transits through every single house, okay? But before I get into that, another way of celebrating Jupiter in Gemini is through learning, is through studying. So I just want to let you all know that Sydney Astrology School is my school. I am the teacher at this particular school, and we are starting a brand new level one on June 29. Okay, so this is a new intake for Sydney Astrology School. Now, even if you're not a beginner, even if you've got a little bit of astro knowledge up your sleeve, I always think level one is a great place to refresh and review, but it's also a great place to be able to see kind of astrology maybe in a new way or get different perspectives because how I teach at Sydney Astrology School goes down a road that's a little bit more evolutionary, a little bit more psychological. A lot of people said that doing level one for them kind of filled in many gaps that they had in their knowledge or in their learning. So just go to sydneyastrologyschool.com. That's SYDNEY, Astrology School, all one word, .com, and you can sign up there, okay? Now, even if you're watching this clip after June 29, 2024, we do two intakes a year. So we do one at the beginning of the year in January, February, and one in the middle of the year, June, July. Okay, so you can join us whenever is convenient for you. Okay, so let's get into this clip. Now, Jupiter moved into Gemini on May 25th, 26th, depending on where you are in the world, and it is going to be there until June 9 or 10 of next year. So Jupiter spends roughly a year in every sign. Now it takes roughly 12 years to go through the whole cycle. So going back to June 2012 to June 2013 was the last time Jupiter went through Gemini. So if you want to cast your mind back roughly 12 years and kind of try to remind yourself of what was going on all the way back then, you may get an inkling of what's about to happen for you this particular year. It may be very different because you're a very different person than who you were 12 years ago, but it will be going through the same house, and that's what I want to talk about because, you know, every house, as we know, has its very distinct terrain, very distinct flavor. So we need to understand what it means as Jupiter is going to go through that particular part of your chart. Okay. So let's talk about Jupiter just for a sec. Jupiter has got the reputation of being the lucky planet. You know, it's the planet that kind of brings good fortune, and it's a planet of great potential and possibilities. Now, I'm not going to take that away from it because Jupiter does have that ability. It really does. But I want to say it's not the cosmic genie out of the out of the lamp or the cosmic Santa Claus. It doesn't really come into our lives and shower us with prezzies, so to speak. Occasionally, when you're having a Jupiter experience, it might feel quite serendipitous at times. It might feel very opportunistic at times. And I want to say that Jupiter would have a lot to do with that particular energy for you. But I want to really get down to the tin tacks of what this is all about. Because Jupiter, when you're thinking of Jupiter, Jupiter is the planet that governs our belief in life. It governs and it wants to go down a road, of being able to open an area, being able to spread its wings, be able to see the glass half full, to be able to see potential and possibilities and have a faith in life. And that's what Jupiter is really all about when it all boils down. It's positivity really does in the end depend on you, basically, because our belief, what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about life, is what Jupiter rides on. So when I'm talking about Jupiter, when I teach it in my course, I always say you have to get on the bus with Jupiter. You really do. Because the more you believe in yourself, the more you have faith in where you're going, the more you feel confident in a particular area, the more Jupiter will be there for you. The more Jupiter will continue to expand and open gates for you. And so really when it all boils down, it's not so much about, sitting back on your couch and watching, Netflix and eating CCs and then hoping that Jupiter is going to come knocking at your door. It doesn't really happen that way. Oprah Winfrey, I love the way she said she sees luck as a preparation meeting opportunity. And I tend to go down that road. Jupiter is very much like that. Now, as Jupiter is going through your chart, what it tends to do is the vibration or the frequency, it does tend to up the game. It really does. It tends to expand, it tends to open things up for you, and it kind of tries to bring in an energy in you that kind of heightens your confidence in a way. Now, certain parts of your life that you might put off, or you might be a little bit scared of, or you might be a bit hesitant around, when Jupiter comes into that particular area, that's when you're actually starting to go, oh, I think I can do this. I'm going to give this a go. Because all of a sudden, you have a particular faith that something positive is going to come out of this area. Okay? And so this is the Jupiter energy coming into your life in a way. It really, really does want you to go for something that's right behind you. It's like the wind behind your sails. And so this is the luck that Jupiter brings into your life. But as I said, you've got to be there. You've got to be there with it. You've got to play into that Jupiter luck so you really, really reap the benefits of it. So as it's going through the sign of Gemini, Gemini is a sign that wants to understand. That's Gemini. Gemini is here on the planet and it's curious. It's inquisitive. It wants to know what's going on. It wants to really have all those kind of penny dropping moments, those ahas. Gemini loves nothing better than coming into a place of something making sense. It falls into a slot in its mind where it goes, oh, I can see where that's coming from. I get it. And so Gemini is always kind of out there. It's kind of like feverish for information. It loves the idea of collecting as much data as it can possibly get, because knowing the facts, knowing the figures, understanding what's going on around it, Gemini is very much about being able to pick up information from the environment, from the close environment. It's very much about being able to, in some way, get it from books or get it from the internet or get it from somebody talking. Like what we're doing right now is a very Jupiter and Gemini thing to do. And so it's very much the communication and the relating of the people and the I want to say the wisdom or the words of what's going on around it. It is, Gemini is a relationship sign, but it's a relationship sign basically with life itself on the level of wanting to know what that is. It's kind of like, I need to Google that is a Gemini thing to do. I need to find out. And so Jupiter, which is going to expand something and wanting to find out, go down the road of meaning or go down the road of the bigger picture or go down the road of some kind of faith or higher purpose, is now funneling through an energy that wants to pick up information as far as getting it is concerned, as far as being able to understand it is concerned, as far as being able to write about it and read about it and converse with her. And so this is, to me, I love this particular energy myself. I find this particular energy is so exciting for me, being a person who loves to learn and loves to teach. Jupiter in Gemini is right up my street for sure. So I want to make sure that every single person who is listening to this clip uh, is getting excited about Jupiter in Gemini, because I want to say this is the perfect time for you to expand your knowledge. This is the perfect time for you to understand life in a much more meaningful way. This is the perfect time for you to actually spread your wings, get out into the world, and know why you're here, and get all the information that you need to support that. Okay? Very, very exciting. So let's get into talking about it going through every single house. Okay. So I use Placidus. I'm a Placidus house system astrologer, meaning that you might have the sign Gemini going through two houses. It might actually start in your first house and continue on into your second house. And if that's the case, then look at both of the houses, because it will start off in your first, and then sometime through that time it's transiting through Gemini, it might actually start to enter into your second and finish in your second house. Okay? So if that's the case and you're a Placidus astrologer, then, like I am, then have a look at both the houses, particularly maybe the first half of the year of Jupiter Gemini year would be in one particular house, and the second half of the Jupiter Gemini year will be in the next house. Okay. So let's start. Let's start from the beginning. So if you have Gemini in the first house, then Jupiter is going to be going through the house of your identity. That's the first house. Now, the first house is basically who you are. It's this little package that we come in a body onto the earth plane, and it's given a name and it's given a personality, and it's been told to get out into the world and do itself. It's enacting. It's about enacting the identity. It's about actioning who you are. And so the first house is about getting from A to B. It's how we present ourselves in life. Basically, it's about being able to come into a place of getting what we need in life, knowing who we are in life, and not letting anything stop us from what we want to do as far as enacting and actualizing ourselves. Okay? And so when you've got Jupiter going through Gemini in this particular house, I want to say the Jupiter is really, really lifting the game as far as your confidence is concerned in you. Your confidence level as your identity, as your sense of being will rise at this particular time. So I want to say that getting out into life and going for what you want and getting from A to B and making sure that you are brave and you are courageous and you will stick your neck out and you will initiate and you'll make things begin. You'll start something. You'll make things begin. I was going to say, which is exactly what the first house is all about. It's going to be fueled by curiosity. It's going to be fueled by that sense of inquisitiveness. It's going to be fueled by that need to learn. So I always think when we're talking about Jupiter, never ever take it for granted. Always go for the opportunities that Jupiter does really want to present to us. So it is going to open the gates as far as who you are is concerned and what you want is concerned in life. As I said, if you've got Gemini in this particular house, it's going to have everything to do with learning what you need to learn about yourself. All subjects, all topics, all areas of information, all areas to do with schooling, all areas to do with studying or broadening your understanding is lit up at the moment. It really is. And going for that, really, really going out into the world and becoming what you want to learn, or becoming almost like becoming that part of you that is seeking that meaning in life and wanting to understand it. You are that. You know what I mean? You need to actually identify with that at this particular time. And so that Jupiter is really kind of opening the gates for you to adventure and explore and endeavor into this particular area. Okay. So let's look at Jupiter in your second house, okay? So if you've got Gemini in the second house, Jupiter will be going through the house of your security and a sense of your safety. And a lot of people will talk about money in the second house as well. Now, again, there is money in the second house. Money does come into the second house for sure. But I want to zero in on something deeper than money. The second house is the house of our values and our value system and how we value ourselves and what we recognize in ourselves as valuable. Okay. So our self worth and our self esteem is in the second house. Okay. So I want to say when Jupiter goes through this particular house, um, our self-worth will want to rise. Our sense of self-value will want to have a sense of becoming more confident in itself. You might actually start to recognize talents or abilities or gifts or a sense of personal resources that you haven't really used before. And all of a sudden, as Jupiter is going through this particular house, you might actually go, oh, I'm recognizing that I am good at this. I'm recognizing that I do have that ability or that talent. I'm recognizing that I am resourced with something quite important that I need to learn. Okay? And so it's Jupiter. And so it's opening the gates in this area. It's trying to, in its own way, it's trying to expand this area for you and give you a lot more room to move. Now, again, this could be really good with you being able to recognize what you are good at and then be able to find ways of being able to put it out there, in a big, expansive and confident way. And, that's going to be really, really important for you. Now, money could come in. I'm not saying it's not going to. Money may come in. It may actually be a little bit more profitable than what it normally would be. But I notice that when Jupiter goes through my second house, I tend to spend money more than I make it. So, so you might have to be conscious of that in a way. Spending money is good. I want to say if you're spending money on big ticket items that are going to be purposeful for you and useful for you and productive for you and you can use in a way that's not wasteful, I want to say that could be a really, really good thing to do as Jupiter moves through Gemini in your second house. So I want to say all the information that you're taking in, all the studying that you're doing, anything to do with writing or reading or teaching or anything to do with the communication in your life at the moment. I want to actually say, try to find what's valuable in that. Try to find what you can use in that. Try to resource yourself with that. Equip yourself with that because it's going to be really important for you. And it might actually start to come in easily for you. So I want to say that doing a course or like a study course could actually be good as far as giving you what you need to keep you safe and secure, and possibly you can make some money out of it further down the track. So let's look at Jupiter going through Gemini in the third house, okay? Now the third house has got a Gemini flavor to it, okay? So we're going down that road of being able to be in the house of information and the house of understanding and the house of communication. It is also the house of the immediate relatives in your life, your siblings, your aunts, your uncles, people who live next door, down the street, that kind of thing will come into the third house as well. But I want to say this is the perfect time. The perfect time that year is a great time to do a course. A short course could be good, something that you love to do, something that you've always wanted to know about, something that's always stimulated you or titillated your mind in a way. You might want to do a couple of them, because the third house likes a bit of variety as well. So there might be a little bit of information coming in this way, a little bit coming in that way. And so I want to say the variety that's coming in or all the different understandings or the different perspectives in life where you want to maybe dip your toe into a few things. I want to actually say do it. Do it. If you want to know a little bit about astrology, and you also want to know a little bit about, quantum physics or something like that. Uh, and also maybe something to do with designing designing your home, there might be that going on for you. There might be a lot of different interests coming at you all at once. Now, I want to actually say this is really good. It's very, very exciting. It can actually be filling you up with lots of information that you'll probably need. Maybe there's something that you can put into ways of being able to communicate and teach yourself. This is a great time to start a website. It's a great time to start a YouTube channel, to do Instagram. All the stuff to do with advertising yourself or putting yourself out there in a communicative way so people know who you are. That's if you're in a profession. If you're not, then it's just a really, really good time to be able to be amongst people where you can actually communicate in a much more inspired, much more meaningful way. Okay, so let's look at Jupiter in your fourth house. So if you've got Gemini in your fourth house, and Jupiter is about to make its year's movement through your fourth house, then what Jupiter is doing is it's kind of going more internal now. The fourth house is deeply embedded in who we are. It is the house of home and family and where we come from and our past. But Jupiter is an expansive planet. Jupiter wants to spread its wings. And so here, there might be something to do with the home or the family that actually wants to explore and maybe, in a way, wants to find somewhere new in the world. Now, I find a lot of people who have Jupiter going through their fourth house do move. It's a very, very popular thing. They move because they feel in a way that where they are now is not giving them what they need as far as exploring life is concerned or getting more meaning out of life. And so I'm not saying everybody with Jupiter going through their fourth house is going to move, but I want to say that if you do during this particular period of time, it will be for those reasons. Now, if you don't move and don't want to move, you're very happy with where you are, I want to actually say there might be something in the home environment, in the family environment, in your past, maybe your parents might come into this in some kind of way, that you have to maybe, I want to say maybe explore, maybe adventure, maybe find some meaning in who you are. Maybe you want to go back a little bit. Maybe you want to go back into your past. Maybe you want to ask your parents some questions about who they are and where they came from. Maybe it's got something to do with your heritage or your culture. Maybe it's got something to do with expanding your understanding based on where you came from or where you come from. I find a lot of people get very interested in history around this time, just generally, going back in time and being able to understand where everything comes from in life is a really Jupiter in Gemini in the fourth house thing to do. Now, again, it might take you to another level of your family. It might actually take you to an understanding of seeing your family, from a broader perspective, seeing your family in a much more meaningful, or I want to say, much having more faith in the understanding that who you are as far as the family is concerned was an incredible learning ground for you. And you have to see your family like that. You have to see everybody in the family as teachers, and that you are learning from them and through them, regardless of what the experience was, and to actually expand your understanding and give you more faith in life via that. You might want to expand the home. You might want to add more to the home. You might want to put more in the home. You might want to extend the home. Or you might want to buy another home. All those kind of things can come into it too with Jupiter moving through your fourth house. Let's have a look at Jupiter going through the fifth house in Gemini. Okay. Now, the fifth house is the house of creativity. It's a house of play. It's the house of children, as we know. It's the house of being able to express ourselves, to be on. It's the house of all the things that put a smile on our face. It's a house of falling in love. I find a lot of fifth house has a lot to do with getting out into the world and being able to put yourself into something. It's the personality. It's that feeling of being generous with your personality, stamping your personality onto something and being able to be, I want to say, confident enough to actually say, here is me. This is me. I'm giving me to you. And I hope you enjoy it and I hope you love it. It's a very, very generous energy. But of course, this energy wants to find the buzz and play in any way it can. And so Jupiter in Gemini could actually go down the road of finding areas in life that could actually be, when I say wasteful, I don't mean that to sound bad, but I want to say that, playing for playing's sake and getting drunk every night and, and I want to say just kind of that feeling of meaningless kind of play. Again, I don't want to judge it. I don't want to say it's wrong or bad, but I do want to say that you aren't really, I want to say, taking advantage of this wonderful, wonderful Jupiter energy that wants to come into your life in a positive way, where you're going to actually feel good about the person you are. Now, if you're a parent and you've got kids, it might be a time where the focus on children might expand. There might be things to do with the kids that might take focus in a way, possibly in a positive way. Maybe that's a time for you to get involved in your children's activities or maybe travel with your children. Maybe something to do with that might come into it. But I want to go down the road of it being more personal. I want to go down the road of it actually on the level of you. And so here is your time to actually start getting into a place of realizing, oh, again, I've got a gift or I've got a talent, particularly a creative one. So I want you to get your paints out. I want you to splash paint on canvas. I want you to dance around the room. I want you to start singing songs. You might have a voice that you've never used before. I want you to actually start playing more. I want you to actually start spreading your wings in a way of being able to adventure and find meaning into parts of you that want to express itself in a fun way. So this is a fun time for you. Again, you might go out looking for love. I want to say falling in love and everything to do with love is beautiful. But again, be very careful of why you're doing this. Are you looking for it? Do you want it? Do you want the validation? Or are you feeling in a way that I just want to give it? I want to be generous with it. Okay? So Jupiter going through the fifth house is being able, especially in Gemini, is being able to find something that you love. And I want to say particularly what you love to learn. So it could be you might want to go into areas of learning a particular creative skill or an art. Maybe go to art classes or pottery classes or dance classes or singing classes. The whole class thing will be really, really important as you go into Jupiter and Gemini in the fifth house. And I want to say smile. Keep that smile on your face all year because that's what's going to attract all the wonderful things that Jupiter and Gemini in the fifth house want to bring. Okay. Now let's look at Jupiter going through your sixth house. Now Jupiter going through your sixth house is really, really interesting because the sixth house, as we know, has got kind of a Virgo tint to it. It's very service oriented. It's very much about rolling up your sleeves and doing the job. It's got this feeling of, can I help you? I want to heal you. I want to be there for you. The sixth house is very body oriented. It is about the body and it is about good health, everybody. I want to really, really underscore that. The sixth house is about your well-being as far as health is concerned. So Jupiter in the sixth house, especially in Gemini, may want to actually learn a skill or learn a craft, become quite competent at something. Again, joining an astrology school could be perfect for Jupiter going through the 6th house, because you'll be learning the art of putting a chart together. You'll be learning where everything fits in. You'll be learning how to actually construct a chart and then be able to understand how all the planets are talking to each other. That's very, very 6th house. The 6th house loves the detail. The 6th house loves the compartmentalizing, pulling something apart and putting it back together again. So any skill or any particular trade that you might be interested in, it feels like I want to learn the how-to of it. I want to learn the machinations, the methods, the techniques behind something. And Jupiter ups the game on the level of you getting excited about it, or you finding it quite easy, or you feeling, I need to do this because it's quite meaningful. On the health side of things, maybe it's time to go to the gym. Maybe it's time for me to look after my body. Maybe it's time for me to get a bike. Maybe it's time for me to get into a health routine of sorts. Maybe I should get into Tai Chi, or maybe Qigong, or, that feeling of mind, body, spirit could actually be a big, and I want to learn it. I want to learn how to do it. I want to learn all about it. I want to learn how the body and the mind and the soul come together and support to help support us. And maybe further down the track, I can actually use this in my life, not only for me, but I could also help other people with it as well. So that's a Jupiter in Gemini going through the 6th house. Okay. So let's look at it going through the 7th house. So if you have Gemini in the 7th house, you're going to have Jupiter going through this particular house for a whole year. Okay. And so Jupiter in the 7th in Gemini, the 7th, as you know, a lot of you know, is a relationship house. It's a house of other people, and it's a house of how we deal on one-to-ones with others. So a lot of people are actually going to say, ooh, get very excited about Jupiter going through their 7th house, because they think, particularly if they're single, they think, oh, this could be a really great year to meet somebody and fall in love. Now, I want to say maybe that might come into it. I'm not going to say no to that. It might actually be part of it. But again, just be conscious of the Jupiter energy, expanding the area of other people for all different reasons as well. People coming into your life and how you need to relate to them, how you need to get close to them, how you need to communicate with them in Gemini, how you need to listen to them in Gemini, how you need to have a toing and froing of the understanding of each other, and how to talk to each other, how to communicate with each other, how to connect with each other. The volume will be turned right up on this. This is where you will kind of come into connection with people on a level of really learning about yourself through them. Okay. So partnerships and people and one-on-ones will be a big part of this year. It will be. Jupiter is opening the gates to this area. It's giving you more of this area. But again, is it going to be, on a personal level? Are you going to fall in love? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. But I just want to go down the road of actually saying it's got more to do with you on the level of learning and communicating and understanding via your connection with other people. That's going to be the most important. So if you work with people, if you do a lot of client work, if you're a one-on-one kind of personality, then I want to say the energy, the particular kind of positive energy will be highlighted in this area. Maybe you'll get more clients. Maybe you'll become more popular. Maybe there's a particular energy of your confidence that shines in this particular area and people pick up on it. Maybe your relationships need to be more meaningful. They need to actually have something in them that feels more positive. So maybe there could be a lot of relationships that change during this period of time. Because, Jupiter is always going to be after relationships that are going to be giving them something like inspires you. And so maybe there's certain relationships that might go through a change of sorts during this period of time as well. So let's look at Jupiter going through your 8th house, okay, in Gemini. So if you have Gemini in your 8th house or part of your 8th house, you're going to have Jupiter going through this deeply, I want to say, embedded area where we kind of get really meshed into something or somebody else, okay? Now, the 8th house is one of those houses. People talk about money a lot in the 8th house. It's classically the house of other people's money. So when you're looking at money again in this particular house, it will be the toing and froing of money. It will be the money between you and somebody else. And so let's talk about that just for a minute because I want to get into the deeper side of it and I want to spend more time on that. But if it is the money side of it, maybe if you're in a buying and selling situation, maybe if you do have a business, maybe if you're in areas where you're giving your value or you're giving your talent or you're giving your craft and you're getting paid for it, maybe that will expand. Maybe that will be a little bit more positive. Maybe there'll be more of that in your life. But then Jupiter expands all areas. You know what I mean? There might be areas where you might give power away to people, where you might feel in a way that other people have more control than you do. And it might expand that area for you as well. So I want to actually say it is about your confidence level on your value with other people. So you've got to up your value. You've got to up your price with other people during this period of time. The confidence that will infuse you during this period of time might actually get you to go, no, I'm not going to be taking that from that person. I'm not going to devalue myself or put my price down. I'm going to actually own who I am. I'm going to own my value. I'm going to own my price. And so I want to say that Jupiter going through your 8th house can be really good money-wise if you really step up to the plate with this, if you get on the bus with this, if you actually start to believe that you're worth it. That's a really, really important thing for the 8th house. It also comes through in the 2nd house as well. Now, on a much, much deeper level, I want to talk about our relationships with people and our shared bonds with people. Now, here we go with this one because Jupiter in Gemini, Gemini is always going to be around communication, understanding, learning. So maybe you want to go into the depths. Maybe you want to go into the psychological depths. Maybe you want to go into the underpinnings. Maybe you want to go into the detective side of things. Maybe you want to go into the hidden. Maybe you want to go into the dark. Maybe you want to go into where you are scared or where other people are scared and start to talk about them. Be truthful. Be 100% truthful with what's coming up. It's about knowing about what's down there, seeing what's down there, and then being able to converse with it, being able to bring it up, being able to bring it up in conversation, be able to talk about what's going on between you both and what you're scared of, or maybe what, areas to do with feeling powerless or maybe disempowered in some way. And so for you, it's about learning about this, going to classes maybe, coming to Sydney Astrology School. You know what I mean? There might be something for you on the level of being able to understand what's going on down there. Maybe a lot of stuff might actually come up for you. And then be able to get it, be able to understand it, be able to recognize it, be able to see it for what it is, get the facts together, and then again, be able to discuss it, be able to put it into areas of relationship where all this comes out on the table. It's an important time, and I want to say it's going to be hugely transformational. It's hugely regenerating for you, and it's really, really positive. You probably come out of this year a very, very different person, okay? If you sail this boat well. Okay, so let's look at Jupiter in your 9th house, right here. Now, Jupiter is in its natural house here. The 9th house is the natural house of Jupiter. Now, here we're going to be looking at a need to really expand, spread our wings, adventure, explore, travel, all those wonderful 9th house things, higher study, higher learning, they're all 9th house. And so Jupiter is really opening the gates big time in this area. So if you're a traveler and you're thinking of traveling and traveling is on the cards, Jupiter going through your ninth house, particularly in Gemini, because you'd be really wanting to travel this time to learn something new. You've got to, well, not just this time, you have Gemini in that house. So everything for you is to do with learning and travel. If travel's part of your life, then the learning experience and understanding things and picking up the information and studying will all be part of that as well. Okay. So if you are thinking of travel, as I just said, then possibly this is a great time for it, because it's going to be one of those kind of times where you're probably going to get more meaning from travel than ever before. It's probably going to be a time where you might feel more inspired than ever before, or you might actually want to travel to for a course. How there were so many conferences all over the place. I'm doing one in Italy in September, in Lake Como at the end of September. You might want to travel and do that. I'm also talking for London Astrology School in early October. So you might be wanting to travel for that. So you know what I mean? It's a feeling of that the world is my oyster kind of feeling, that there is so much meaning out there, not only through learning, but being able to experience at the same time. So Jupiter going through your ninth house will up the game on that level. You might actually become more philosophical around this time. You might actually become your belief in yourself and your belief in life, your belief in the laws of the universe and the laws of what govern, what govern who govern the laws of, I'll get this out, the laws that govern us might actually become clearer to you over this period of time as well. So just be very, very conscious of what you believe in during this period of time, what your principles are, what your ethics are, what feels right for you. It's an important time for you to come into a place of living into that, because I want to say that if you truly believe in something, particularly something, as I said, that will expand your understanding, expand your life mission, expand your mind in some kind of way, it will only produce positive energy. It will only produce what we might call luck. Okay, so let's look at Jupiter in the 10th house, going through your 10th house, and you've got Gemini up there. Okay, so the 10th house, it's the midheaven house. Okay, so what we're looking at here is our mission in the world. It's where we're going. It's the mountain that we're climbing. It's our path in life. It's our role. It's the way the world sees us, the way the public see us. Now, a lot of people might say, oh, Jupiter going through your 10th house. Oh, this is going to be really good for your career. It's going to be really good for you on the level of your vocation or where you're heading in the world. And I want to say, yes, it will be. But again, you really have to be there. You really have to be on that bus, and you really have to believe that where you're heading in life and where you're going in life, you have to have the faith and the confidence in yourself to be able to propel you. So this is a really, really good time for you to maybe find a path, maybe find a new path, or maybe a new trajectory in life. It might be a new mountain to climb of sorts. It might have something to do with that. It might feel like maybe you're looking at your life and you might think where I'm going isn't giving me the meaning or the inspiration that I need. And so I really need to redirect myself somehow. I really need to find a mountain that makes me feel like I'm heading towards something that gives me a lot more, I want to say, that feeling of this is why I'm here, this is why I'm on the planet. And so again, learning and traveling, being able to collect information, being able to understand might have something to do with where you're heading, where you're going. It might be lucky, I'm going to use that word. It might be lucky for you career-wise if you realize that what I'm doing and where I'm going needs to be purposeful. And so therefore, if I redirect my my compass or my trajectory into that particular area, it's probably going to be easier for me, and I'll be surprised at what comes into my life that will support this new road. Okay, you might love your job, you might love where you're going in life, you might feel really on track. I want to say, if that's the case, it's going to be a really, really positive year for you. If you love it and you're riding off the coattails of that kind of love, this year could be a great year as far as what you get from where you're heading and where you're going in life. Okay, so let's look at Jupiter in the 11th house now. So if you've got Gemini in the 11th house or part of the 11th house, Jupiter is expanding and giving you more faith and trying to give you more faith and more belief in the area to do with who you are in the grand scheme of things, who you are as far as being part of something. The 11th house has got this feeling of, I want to be part of a scheme or a project or a team or a group or a venture where who I am is making a difference in the world. Who I am is changing things somehow. And therefore I have to be in the right environment. I have to be with the right people. I have to align myself with allies who are on the same page as me. So this could be a great time for you to join groups, learning groups, or groups of that are inspirational kind of groups, travel groups, astrology groups, areas to do with fitting in and becoming part of a bigger mosaic, becoming part, the patchwork of this amazing kind of quilt or rug that you can be part of, that's going to be taking you into brand new areas in life. You might actually come across a new community or a new organization or a new social setting or a new social group that you actually go, oh, these are my people. You might actually find that is going to be a big part of this. You might even go down a new direction. You might even go down the hopes and wishes road, that feeling of, who I am now, and how I'm banding with the people that I'm really, really aligning with now is taking me down roads that make me feel really, really positive, making me feel like, this is where I want to go. This is how my life feels like it's panning out, feels like the potential behind what it has to offer. Feels right for me. It feels really, really good. And I feel like I am making a difference. It feels like I am a change agent of sorts. It's really, really positive in the 11th house. In traditional astrology, Jupiter is in its joy in this particular house. Okay, so it loves the idea of being able to feel like it's come into like comradeship with a lot of people who are basically, I want to say, on the same the same trajectory, but definitely on the same mindset as you are, and then be able to benefit from that in a really big way. So we're looking at Jupiter in your 12th house now. So when we're going down the road of Jupiter in your 12th house, moving through your 12th house, if you've got Gemini here, this is kind of interesting because the 12th house does want to draw you inside. It wants to take you in. And I want to say that for people who've got Gemini in this particular house, because Gemini is very inquisitive, as you know, Gemini wants to know what's going on. And so when it's being drawn inside, there's almost like an inner kind of exploration of what I need to know about myself and about life. But I need to go in. I need to go in intuitively. I need to go in on the level of maybe some kind of, I want to say, spiritual kind of understanding or soul expedition of sorts. Jupiter is expanding this area. Jupiter is giving you more in this area. It's wanting to make you feel purposeful. It wants you to make you feel lucky in this particular area. So I want to say again, if you want to do any learning in this area, it would be learning on the level of possibly going down roads of A Course in Miracles, or anything Eckhart Tolle's books, or a conversation with God. Those kind of wonderful, beautiful pieces of those books full of information that take you into that area, that take you to another world. That actually connect you with source, or with a higher understanding of who you are. And I want to say that this is a really beautiful place to go. You want to actually maybe meditate a little bit more during this period of time, take long walks in nature, sit down by the waterfront. But at the same time, I want to say you are being channeled at this particular time. You are kind of like a conduit for information at this particular time. It might not be information that's coming at you full on. It might be information that's coming from the angels. It might be information that's coming through dreams, coming through signs. It might be a time where, might be driving or in the shower or something, and then all of a sudden these incredible insights are coming at you, and you need to write them down. If you are a writer, if you are a teacher, if you work in the communication world, then this could be beautiful for you, because it will pull you inward for you to get all your answers. It will pull you inward for your creativity and everything that you want to write about. That's where it's going to be coming from. So I want to say, really be in a place, and you might notice this if you go back 12 years to 2012, 2013, you might recognize what was happening during that period of time, where you might have been, I want to say, at your most, in contact with your soul during that particular time. It's really, really quite beautiful. I love the idea of this. I know somebody who has Gemini in their 12th house, and when Jupiter was going through it, became very, very interested in people who've had near-death experiences. Everything was about that, talking about it all the time, NDEs, on the internet all the time. It was one near-death experience after the other about people talking about their experience in the next dimension. And loved it, and got so much information from it. And it ended up being quite purposeful for him, because he used that information in lots of stuff that he was doing at that particular time. So there you go, everybody. That is Jupiter in Gemini for the whole year, starting from May 25th until June 10, May 25th, 2024 to June 10, 2025. And so really and truly, let's grab onto this Jupiter, because it does want us to have the best year possible, and let's run with it, and let's really make the most of this year coming up.